We get the question all the time of, why didn't we just buy a brand new mobile home? If we're going to spend all this money fixing it up, why didn't we get a brand new mobile home? Wouldn't it have been cheaper even to get a brand new mobile home? And I have the cost breakdown to bring to you and to tell you, just in terms of money, no, it would not have been cheaper to buy a brand new mobile home. But it's so much more that goes into this process than just money. We've learned and we've grown so much since Tim and I stood here in this very spot. We all painted the house that you see behind me. Could it not be a more professional job? Like, even my 1-year-old participated. So from the youngest, Benjamin, through Tim, Titus, Noah, even myself, I was able to do things and paint. And, I've never painted an exterior of a home like that before. I do have a cost analysis for you because it actually was cheaper to purchase this mobile home and renovate it.
Standing here a while just to take it all in. Radio's playing our song. And then you stood there smiling at me, as so many times before. I'll never wanna be away, leave you again.
What is up, I.A.G family? This video has been a long time in the making, and I am so excited to be standing here in this spot where Tim and I were talking about renovating the exterior of our mobile home and doing it ourselves. And I am excited to report the exterior renovation of Emma, establishing more and more abundantly the name that God gave us for our mobile home. The exterior renovation is complete, and I cannot believe it. It's been so amazing. The process, the journey has been truly amazing. And we get the question all the time of, why didn't we just buy a brand new mobile home? If we're going to spend all this money fixing it up, why didn't we get a brand new mobile home? Wouldn't it have been cheaper even to get a brand new mobile home? And I have the cost breakdown to bring to you and to tell you, just in terms of money, no, it would not have been cheaper to buy a brand new mobile home. But it's so much more that goes into this process than just money. We've learned and we've grown so much since Tim and I stood here in this very spot. I can just remember him telling me about a dream that he had, because at first we were going to contract out the exterior renovation of our mobile home, and the carpenter didn't show up. But Tim had a dream. He had a dream that there was a big whirlwind. There was all these people, but Jesus showed up in the whirlwind, walked him around the mobile home, and said, the renovations, we're going to all get this done. You know, basically just encouraging him, don't worry, son, we're going to get it all done. And it's all done. What a miracle and what a testimony. Even though we tried to contract it out and the physical carpenter, the human carpenter didn't show up, Jesus, our God, the master carpenter, he showed up for us and showed out. And I could not have a better exterior of my home. I mean, Tim just completely let the Lord use him, work through him. He did things he has never done before. And for us, that makes it all worth it. That we were able to do things we had never done before, take it to heights and limits and conquer things that we had never done before. We've learned things, like he's learned how to trim out a house, and just those things are valuable, not just to us spiritually, but also, you know, in the world. If he ever wanted to work or do those things, he knows how to replace the exterior of homes now. And so it's just been so beautiful to go all the way through this process with God. I mean, we all painted the house that you see behind me. Could it not be a more professional job? Even my 1-year-old participated. So from the youngest, Benjamin, through Tim, Titus, Noah, even myself, I was able to do things and paint. And, you know, I've never painted an exterior of a home like that before. So it was just beautiful to have that experience. And we could not have gotten it if we had just bought it off the lot. We could not have gotten the materials like the LP Smart siding. We could not have gotten that grade of siding with a mobile home off the lot. And so it's so much that rolls into that process where it made it all worth it to renovate and do the job ourselves. Even though we tried to contract it out, it really was meant to be that we were to go through the process and do it ourselves. And we're so much greater for it. What we've learned and what we've gained through that is more than what money can buy. But I do have a cost analysis for you, because it actually was cheaper to purchase this mobile home and renovate it. So it was about $30,000, $28,500 to be exact, that we initially purchased this mobile home. The exterior renovations were about the interior renovations were about $25,000, give or take. And so that's only about $55,000 in. Then we were able to complete the exterior renovations for around $9,000. So at this point, we're only $65,000 in for a completely brand new mobile home. All of the exterior has been replaced, including the OSB and the house wrap, which gives it an extra layer there of just buffer, sturdiness that we wouldn't have had if we had bought it brand new. So the quality of the materials that we were able to replace during our renovations was so much better than the quality that we would have gotten in a brand new mobile home, and it was cheaper. We could not have found a brand new mobile home off the lot. Ours is 16 by 80, I believe, for $65,000. It just does not exist at all in our area. So we came out not just cheaper, but with better quality materials. And we know that the job has been done right. So adding all that in, the spiritual experience, the emotional experience, going through it and learning together as a family, literally growing in our trade and our experience, that's adding a dollar value to ourselves. Our kids can paint now. If they wanted to have a little Saturday job or whatever, going and painting, they can earn money doing that. So they've added value to themselves. And then the spiritual, just being obedient, hearing God speak to us, having that testimony and saying we hand in hand went through the process with God. Like, all that factors into it for us. But then it still was cheaper and we have better quality materials in the end. So yes, it's definitely cheaper to buy something and renovate it yourself. But you know what? You do have to be willing to take that risk. You have to be willing to take that leap of faith, because, we didn't have a whole lot of rotten wood to replace, but, there is that factor of, what if something happens that I don't know how to fix? There's an unknown that's there when you buy something with the intent to fix it up. That's not there when you buy something that's brand new that you expect to already be perfect, right? So, yes, you do have to be willing to take that jump, that leap of faith. And I think that is what probably deters people most from renovating something and fixing it up, rather than just receiving it already all done up, right? Taking that risk, taking that leap of faith, I think that's scarier than just spending more money. So at the end of the day, we were able to take that leap of faith with God, and in absolutely every single category, it was profitable. I'm gonna go ahead and just walk y'all around and show y'all what exterior renovations we've completed, and we can also talk about the cost and the breakdown, how much the things cost. Even I can show you where you can cut costs in areas where we chose not to. If you wanted to renovate and you said, well, maybe I don't want to replace all the windows or things like that. So that's the beautiful thing about when you do a renovation and you rehab, you can customize. You might not go all the way for patio door, right? But you can replace it with a brand new window. So those are just some things to keep in mind if you are considering a renovation, that you can tweak it and save money here and there. All right, y'all, we're coming upon my absolute favorite part of our exterior remodel, and that is the patio door. I would also say this was the absolute hardest thing that we put in, because we did it ourselves. And yes, it was probably, one of the things that we splurged on in terms of this exterior renovation, but it was absolutely worth it for us. It let so much natural light into our bedroom. It has completely just changed the mood and the feel in our bedroom. And this is Tim's office. So he sits at this corner here inside, and he can see all the way down. When somebody first approaches our driveway, he can see them all the way at the end. So if anybody comes, he can give everybody in the house a heads up, you know, it's a delivery coming or whatever. So just to have a corner office now for my husband, where he has a huge window, huge light coming in, huge patio door, that's an upgrade that, you know, is worth it for us. Just to show you what the price breakdown is there, we spent about $3,855.85 to replace all 7 windows, the back door, and to turn this window into a patio door. That is the total cost. But if we only went back with the window and not the patio door, we would have only spent $3,159.95 just to replace the windows and not have the patio door. So that's about $600 or $700 difference there to have this patio door instead of just a new window. So totally worth it for us, but that is one of the areas where you could cut costs if you wanted to do this exterior renovation and just replace the windows. You could also cut that $3,855 completely and just put back your windows that you had already. We took our windows out and we did break one. We would have had to replace that, but the other windows, once Tim got the hang of it, he pulled out smoothly. So we could have gone back with those, but just the savings for us, because the windows were kind of old, they didn't go up and down, some of them didn't come down completely. That was huge for us. That's definitely something that I think was worth it, but that's almost $4,000 of the $9,000 total that we spent. So, you know, you could do this renovation then for closer to $4,000 or $5,000 if you didn't replace all the windows, the door, and everything. If you just went back with your same windows and door. Let's continue. We have made literally all things new, like every plug, the light fixture, the trim around the windows, all of it. I don't think there's one single thing that we haven't replaced from before. So it looks great. I'm very, very pleased with how everything turned out. Even replacing these lights, the lights were about $60. I think the trim out total just for the price of the wood was about $200. But yeah, as you can see, by replacing everything, it's just like a completely new house. Like, it's completely brand new. And then the quality of the wood here, a quality of the wood grain, you cannot get that off of a mobile home lot. And that is not synthetic, that's not tin, that's not vinyl. This is wood. And the thing about this wood is it's treated, the LP Smart Siding, it's treated to be resistant against rot and bugs. And I actually did the cost analysis there too. And our price all in for LP siding, house wrap, and OSB was $3,659.80. Well, if we had went with a similar siding, but it's not treated, it wasn't rot or bug resistant, I think it's called the T111 siding, it would have been $8 cheaper per sheet, which only ended up being about $400 in cost saving. So overall, over years of time, if you have the extra $400, this is where you want to spend it. Do not cheap out on siding that should be on your house for years and years, especially if you spend as much time and energy as we did replacing it. This is something that you want to last for the next 10 years, minimum. You don't want to have to do anything, 5 years, maybe you go back and caulk again and repaint. But you want it to last, minimum 5 years doing nothing, and even longer than that. So I was surprised. I thought that having the cheaper siding would result in a much lower cost, but it's only $400 different, and I just don't think that's worth it. I think that if you don't have the money to buy the more expensive siding, to spend the extra $400, it's better even to save and to wait until you can go ahead and replace it with something that's going to last. It's a lot of time and energy that goes into replacing the siding. This was not an easy task, so you want to make sure when you do it right. So just continuing to walk y'all around so y'all can just see the complete exterior. Here we have another window that we trimmed out. And then it took a little ingenuity to get everything trimmed out. This was one of the areas that Tim kind of had to figure out. He's never trimmed a house like this before. He did trim out the barn, but he was kind of learning and practicing. And you see the gable end and all the different angles. He just kind of had to figure out how to come back and make it look good. And this wasn't trimmed before. So he's trimming something that's never been trimmed. And he was just able to kind of take that leap of faith, pray about it, figure it out, and it looks amazing. So I'm glad that we were able to take those leaps. And even, sometimes when you do a renovation, you kind of have to figure it out when you get there. That's the thing. You're not going to have everything figured out before you start. But you can be confident that you prepare as much as you can beforehand, and then know that, okay, when I get to a task that I'm not sure what to do, I'm not going to get discouraged. I'm going to figure out a way to keep moving forward. So this is it. This is the back of the house, which I think is the most improved. We didn't really even come back here much. There was a lot of damage on this end of the home in our 10, and we just kind of like ignored it, looked past it. But then when we replaced everything, we were like, wow, this really looks good. And this door it's almost competing with the patio door. It also now lets in so much natural light into our home. And just having that light there wasn't a window on the door before. It brings light into the hallway, into the laundry room, into the front of our room, and there was no light there before. So I'm really loving that addition, and I'm glad that we were able to replace this door. And so that also just kind of adds to the whole feel of the interior, even though it was an exterior renovation. All right, y'all, I made it back around to this end. This window here goes to our bathroom. It was another place where we have natural light now, and we can see out of this window. Before, this was just one of those windows that was kind of frosted and we couldn't see out of it, so we replaced it with an actual window. Now that we can see, there's light in the bathroom now. We can just open and close these blinds for privacy. We don't need to have a frosted window. So that worked out perfectly, being able to replace that window as well. And now that we've gone around the entire area of our home, I want to come back to this spot and just kind of walk you through all of the costs total, how we got to that $9,000 amount, and then we can talk more in depth about areas that you could cut if you needed to cut. So first, I'm just going to start at the beginning, our demo cost. Now, you don't have to do this, but we rented a dumpster. All in for that dumpster, it was $575. And other than a lot of grit and muscle, that's what it took to do the demo. Pulling off the tin, obviously you're not spending any money there. But rather than go to a dump, we chose to have a dump here. We also used it to clean up other areas around the farm. So that was worth it for us. Not to have Tim have to go and haul everything off or even try to sell or scrap the metal. It was worth it for us just to get rid of it and do it efficiently and quickly so he could save his energy and move on with the project. And I found that there are some areas where, you know, it may seem like splurges or we just kind of spent money. But we did it to save energy. We did it to save Tim's energy, especially because he's a one-man crew. There's only so much that one person can do. So we had to be really careful with spending his energy. So sometimes it was better to spend money and allow him to spend energy on the project and the task at hand, rather than save money and having him completely spent and not able to move on and do some of the things that he needed to do with the project. So the dumpster did add $575 to the cost, but that's not something that you have to spend. Then for the siding replacement, as I said before, that total there was $3,659.80 for the LP siding, the house wrap, and the OSB. That doesn't include all the other little essential supplies that you need to get it done. I'll talk about those at the end, but just for the basic materials to replace the siding, we're at about $3,700. Now, I did talk about how you could replace it with siding that was cheaper. That just doesn't seem worth it to me unless you find a deal on some very durable siding. But to save $400 or $500 on siding that's supposed to last on your home for years and years, you kind of want to spend that extra if you're going to expend all the time and energy replacing it. But you could cut costs there and be at $3,259.80. If you wanted to go with a less expensive siding. Then for our window and door replacement, we replaced all our windows and doors and went back with a patio door. That cost was $3,855.85. Of course, if you didn't do the patio door, it would only be $3,159.95. Or you can scrap the whole almost $4,000 and then just go ahead and put back your windows and doors that you had. Now, I will say this, that was a very expensive line item. It was just as expensive, even a little more, actually just as expensive as the siding if you didn't go back with the patio door. More if you include the patio door. But if you have an older mobile home that you're renovating and, you know, the bottom of the door, the flange, the seal is like kicked out or rusted like ours was, it's worth it to go ahead while you're already ripping everything off to replace them, because then you have the opportunity there to make sure it's done right and that the windows are perfectly fitting in. And that was just an opportunity for us to take our home to the next level, but it did cost more, significantly more. So you're looking at paying about as much for window and door replacement as you are for the siding, but then you're making everything on the exterior of your home new. So, you know, it might be one of those things where you go ahead and wait and you build and you save to do the entire renovation at one time so that everything becomes like flush together, caulked, new, and you can just kind of completely focus on the exterior of your home. But, you know, that was just our preference and the way that we did it, and we were able to have the funds to do it. So it made sense for us. And now I'm getting to the more miscellaneous supplies. So when you replace the siding, the windows, you're gonna have to buy the paint, the trim, the caulk, the flashing tape, staples, and a staple gun if you don't have one for the house wrap. So all those little incidentals, they don't cost much by themselves, but they definitely add up. So we were at around $1,000, $910 for little incidentals like that. There were some things that I didn't count, but if I counted every single thing, including like gas to Tim drove to get the patio door, if I counted, him filling up with diesel, all of that, I probably could have added about $1,000 more on little items like that you stack up over time. But you need to plan for at least $1,000 and up to $3,000 for those types of supplies and incidentals or things that you run into that you may not expect. For example, we ran into a little bit of rotten wood that we had to replace. We didn't have a lot of that, but if we did, we could have spent up to $1,000 just replacing rotten wood that you don't see until you remove the exterior. So have a buffer there of at least $1,000 up to $3,000 for those types of things. Have that in your budget so that you're not shocked and pull everything off and unable to move forward, right? You want to be able to have enough cash to complete the job and not have to make a bad decision or put things on credit or just be in a tight, right? So leave some room there for supplies that you know you're going to buy and things that you run into that might be unexpected. Like if you're planning on going back with the same windows, but you break a window, right? Leave some buffer in your budget for those types of things. So with all those costs, we're all in at $9,000.65. And you could cut the cost in half and be at around $4,569.80 if you decided not to replace the windows, right? But keep, you replace the LP siding. You could cut costs with cheaper siding. I don't recommend it. So the only thing I would recommend, maybe if you have nice windows, you want to keep them, you could go back with those same windows, but leave some buffer there in case you break one or something happens to one. And so that's pretty much it, y'all. If you want to cut costs, there's some areas where you could kind of cut costs and do some things differently than we did. Obviously, you don't have to do the patio door. That cost would be $7,330 if you decided to just replace your windows and LP siding and go back with a regular window instead of a patio door. So those are our costs. Was it worth it? Most definitely. Financially, it makes sense and it was worth it. But on top of that, the value that we've added to ourselves, our growth as a family and individually, you can't put a price tag on that. So we are happy to have been standing here and now with a sense of accomplishment can say that we completely replaced and rehabbed our entire mobile home, not just the exterior, because we're just about done. We have a few more little projects we want to do inside, but we've literally renewed and refreshed and replaced everything, and we can stand at this spot and say we have a brand new mobile home that we rehabbed ourselves.
Hey y'all, I'm the cameraman behind the camera today.
He was here the whole time.
I was here the whole time, just behind the camera.
He was probably like, as I was talking, just like trying to hold back because this experience, I'm sure, like I really, really want to hear your thoughts, has been like amazing for you. So
it's been something now because as Megan mentioned, the one part that like really was like almost brought tears to my eyes was when Megan talked about the dream. Because we knew that we wanted to replace the siding on our house. We wanted to completely redo the outside so that the outside of the home represented or also played off of the inside. We didn't want the inside to be so beautiful and then and look at the old wrinkled up tin on the outside. And so we had this desire to replace all of the siding, to redo the outside, and we were going back and forth on if we were going to get contractors to do it, which I try to contract out things. I try to hire people to do things, but things just don't go the way that I feel the Lord wants them to go when I try to contract things out sometimes. Every now and then we find good contractors, but a lot of times it's better if we just take our time and do it ourselves. And so that dream, like, it wasn't like, she's not saying like dream, like we had thoughts. Like, no. When Megan mentioned the dream that I had, this was a literal dream that I had at night. And the Lord came to me and spoke, because we were going through all these different ideas, all these different scenarios. Should we contract it out? Should we do this? And we ended up trying to contract it out, but the carpenter didn't show up, because he was supposed to come and kind of like take measurements and do all those type of things. And we were just praying about it, and the Lord came to me in that dream. The master carpenter, Jesus, came to me in a dream, and there was a crowd of people out here watching, which I know now is you all. And Jesus, he came in a whirlwind. It was almost like a tornado, and he popped up, he showed up in the whirlwind. And he came down, and he literally, like in that dream, walked around the house with me and kind of showed me stuff. And he said, the siding is going to be done. The roof is going to be done. The porch is going to be done. Like, all these things are going to be done. And he was pretty much like telling me, like, don't fear, have courage. Like, because all of these things are going to be done. And we're working on those things right now. Like, him and the angels, the Holy Spirit, like, the work was going on before I ever ripped down the first piece of metal off the house. And so the Lord was masterminding this whole process from the very beginning. And it all started way before we ever ripped down any siding or anything. So it's been an amazing process, and it was just a beautiful thing to start this process in the middle of the summer. It was so hard, like so hard, because it was so hot. I was doing the work of like 10 men. Yes. I had to get the house back dried in. It seemed as if it wanted to rain every single day at the beginning of the process. I literally would start working on the house at the crack of dawn, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I would literally work non-stop all the way through the night, every night until about 10:30, 11 o'clock, sometimes even later. And so it's just a beautiful thing to get to the point to where we started, where it was so hard, to ending where y'all saw of my family and I, like homeschool, vocation homeschool, like just taking our time, relaxing as a family, and painting the house together at the beginning of fall. So this project started in the spring, beginning of summer, and we ended the project to this point at the beginning of fall. And so that's a beautiful thing. And we still have a lot of work to do. I'm still going to get started on this skirting. We have amazing skirting ideas.
Yes, I'm so excited about that.
We still have to build this smaller back porch. Yeah. And then we're going to build the epic front porch.
Man,
full length.
Stay tuned, y'all. It is going to be amazing.
The front porch is going to be pretty much an expansion of the living space of the house. Like, we're going to have like a 40-foot section. It's going to be like a sunroom, and it's going to have couches and dining room table and a wood stove and all those type of things. It's pretty much going to be, we measured it, and it's going to be the same size as our living room and kitchen area. And so, yeah, a lot of amazing things to come. And we have a lot of things that we're about to get to on our property, developing our property, working on the house, working with the animals, working on other properties, the investment property that we purchased sometime, I think it was this year, at the beginning of this year. And so a lot of amazing things to come. And so y'all just make sure that you stick around, because as always, all the things that we do is going to be all about God, and we're going to have fun while we're doing those things. We're going to be encouraged while we're doing those things. And we just wanted to bring you along for this video, because a lot of people ask, like, hey, would it have been better for you all to purchase a brand new mobile home off the lot? That would have been, in our area, a brand new single wide, like top quality of what they do, would have been about somewhere between $100,000 to $150,000. Like, that's what they cost. It says $80,000, but once you get there and you pay payments, it's like, that's not even counting the interest. So with the interest after 15 years, that takes it to a whole nother level. But we're talking about the sticker price. And the sticker price, without all the interest and without all the add-ons of taking out, mortgages and all those type of things would have been around $100,000 to $150,000. It's like, what did we spend total around about?
I think we're at 65.
Like, we're not even $70,000 is what it took for us to completely renovate this mobile home. We bought it in cash. We renovated the interior in cash, renovated the outside in cash, and we still are just right there at $70,000. Now, we didn't add on things like the mini splits. Like, we paid, you know, over $10,000 for our full house mini split install. We paid a couple $1,000s to install a wood stove, but those things aren't like needed. You know, an air conditioning unit came with this mobile home when we bought it. We just chose mini splits, and you don't need a wood stove. We have a thing where we are gonna put a wood stove in every house that we own for the existence of us ever owning homes, because we just like wood stoves, like a wood fire. And so yeah, we X out some of those things, but the core, because the biggest purchase that we did of our interior renovation was
the kitchen cabinets and
countertops, and that was around $10,000. Exactly right, that was around $10,000. Everything else, you think about flooring throughout the whole house, the LVP flooring was like $1,200, and then the carpet was like $1,000. You know, so, and then we had paint. It's like most of the walls, the painting, like I mudded the sheetrock, sanded the sheetrock. That's like 1 bucket of mud, you know, and then painted the whole house. Like, that's like 2 5-gallon buckets of paint. And we scraped popcorn ceiling. It's like, that's like 1, you know what I'm saying? Like most of the things that we did on this home were about labor, and we were doing the labor ourselves. So we saved so much money by doing it ourselves. And so the question is, would it have been better for us to purchase a brand new mobile home, or cheaper at least, more cost effective for us to purchase a brand new mobile home off the lot, or for us to go the route that we did? A brand new mobile home off the lot would have been around single wide $100,000, $150,000, and that's just sticker price. That's not even including the 15-year mortgage and the interest that you were gonna pay. And so what we did this whole project up to this point. We still have a lot to do, but those are extras. Like at this point,
cherries on top.
Right, this is what you have. Like, you have a mobile home that's there, you know what I'm saying? And for our price, we did it for around $70,000. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you all, because you've seen how much work we put in. But like I said, most of what we've done has been sweat equity that we've sown into this house and sown into this property. So
including faith muscles, y'all.
Faith muscles, that's right.
Faith muscles and these physical muscles right here. That's what did it.
That's right. And so that answers you all's question. I know that was a pressing question that a lot of you all have had, and we wanted to take a little bit of time and just break it down, because I know on the surface level, if we would have just said the prices of what we did, it would not have made sense. But we just broke it down, like line upon line, like price by price. And we also told you that we could have done it cheaper. We did it for $70. We could have did it cheaper than that. We didn't have to do the siding. Like, we didn't have to replace windows. We didn't have to put patio doors. We didn't have to replace cabinets and do all those type of things. But we chose to do those things, and we were able to do those things because we saved so much money. And so, behind us,
we did it ourselves. We were able to up the materials, you know. We didn't have to have quartz countertops when we replaced our kitchen and did. You know, we got premium cabinets. We actually had our kitchen designed.
That's right.
And it had premium cabinets and quartz countertops. So that's why it was a $10,000 replacement. So there's all different ways. There are different stages, you know, and we could have done those things cheaper, but we chose, you know, to have better materials in some points.
That's right. All right, so y'all see it behind us. Y'all stay tuned, stay buckled in, because this is just the beginning of the journey. We have a lot of amazing things to come, a lot of amazing videos coming y'all's way. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and end today's video here, and we'll just see y'all on the next one. It's I.A.G Farms.
It's all about God.
See y'all on the next one.